So, welcome to the Extra Lucky Podcast. I'm Taryn.
And I'm Jess.
And today we're joined by Jessica Ardolino. Jess is 34 years old, a mom to 4 kids, happily married for almost 7 years. She's been an NYPD officer. We need to dive into that a little bit for 11 years. She wrote a children's book about her daughter Olivia, who has Down syndrome. Her husband and her kids are her whole world, and she loves nothing more than spending time with them. So, welcome, Jess.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're so happy to see you. And, I feel like we start a lot of podcasts like this saying we got a chance to finally meet in person at DSD. Yes. DSDN is responsible for so many of these personal connections. So, but yeah, it's been lovely to follow your journey and everything. But if you could, we love to start from the beginning and just walk us through your life, what led you to, your daughter and the rest of your kids, and tell us all about your family.
Sure. All right. Well, that could take a while. I'm going to sum it up. So my oldest is 13, Hayden. She is wonderful. And then I had a nice little age gap before Olivia came. There's about 9 years between the two of them. So when my husband and I had Olivia, we didn't know she was going to have Down syndrome. We knew it was a possibility. We had gotten some testing. The blood test had come back that maybe it was possible. And but we decided not to confirm, so we waited until she was born, and sure enough, she was born with Down syndrome. And she was very healthy. We were very fortunate. She had a little bit of cardiac issues, but no surgery. She had this thing with her tongue that it would get like suction cup to the roof of her mouth, and she turned blue.
Oh God.
And I wasn't a first-time mom, but like that was scary. I would panic every time. Luckily, it resolved within like 2 weeks. And after that, it was pretty much smooth sailing. We haven't had too many issues with Olivia and her health. Mm-hmm. So I feel very fortunate because I know a lot of extra lucky kids don't always, a lot of them need open heart surgeries in the beginning and whatever, moving forward. Yeah. So the one thing with Olivia, though, now she's going to be 5 in June, is she doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. I never knew that was something that might not ever come. I do think she will speak, but right now she's pretty much nonverbal.
Yeah.
And so that we struggled with that a lot, because how do you communicate with your kid if they're not speaking to you,
Yeah.
And so recently we got her an AAC device, and it's been amazing. It's given her a voice. I love watching her on it. I do believe she relies more outside of the home, because she knows if she just like yells at us and points, like we know what she wants. And she does do sign language, so we have an easy time communicating with her in the house.
Yeah.
But that's been great. Now I feel like we can communicate with her, which I love. She has 2 younger brothers, Michael and Angelo. There's 2 years between the last 3. Michael, my husband, and I, when we had decided to have another baby after Olivia, he wasn't sure. He was kind of like, I don't know, like maybe we should wait a little and see what Olivia needs. And growing up, I had a sister who was handicapped, and the best thing she ever had was me. And not to sound like, oh, I'm great, but she always had a built-in best friend. She always had somebody to look out for her. Mm-hmm. And it was truly the best thing for her. And I knew that's what Michael would be for Olivia. And the two of them are like 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah.
And then surprised we had baby AJ, who's now 9 months old.
The cutest, like happy. So they're on Instagram at at Lucky Few Fam, right?
Yeah.
Few Fam. The cutest kids, like the way that Olivia like smothers her brothers, so delicious.
Literally smothers them. It is so funny to watch. But she's like, I call her she's like a spicy chicken nugget, because she is like, 1 minute she's so sweet, and then the next minute she's like pushing him over. So you have to watch her.
Yeah. All right. So there's so many things I want to dive into. First of all, you had a heads up, you sort of had a birth diagnosis.
Yeah.
You told me this, I think it was at DSDN or another time that we talked, how you hadn't said anything to Hayden, right? You were driving home from the hospital or something. I'm not going to, you tell it better.
So
I thought it was so sweet.
Hayden, like I said, I can't remember now if she was 8 or 9, but when we drove home from the hospital, we hadn't decided on if we were going to tell anybody, really. Like our immediate family knew that it was possible. And then I remember her being born, and the first thing I did was, I couldn't see her. And I looked at my husband. I was like, does she? And he's like, yeah, she does. And so we were like, not sure. How do you tell people? Like most people, when I told them in the beginning that it was a possibility, and it's crazy now because I'll go through like my text messages and everyone apologizes. And it's like everyone's first reaction is to apologize.
Yeah.
And even me in the beginning, like when I found out it might be possible, like I did all this research on false positives, on tests, and there's no way, right? There's no, I mean, I was 29. I didn't even think it was possible.
Yeah.
So then when we had her and we brought her home from the hospital, we're in the car on the way home, and Hayden's like, "Hey, Mom, if something was different about Olivia, would we know yet?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, would we know?" And she's like, "Well, you know that movie Wonder? She's like, how Augie was different. Do you, like, would we know if Olivia was different?" And I was like, "It's so funny that you say that because she is a little bit different." And we explained to her, that she had Down syndrome. And lucky for me, and I don't think this was in greater design, her teacher at the time had a son that had Down syndrome.
Oh, wow.
So she had spoken a lot about it to the class. And so she was not a stranger to what Down syndrome was and about it.
I'm sure her teacher spoke about it so beautifully as his mom,
Yeah, so it was pretty incredible. She's like, "Oh, well," I'm like, "Do you have any questions about her having Down syndrome?" She's like, "No, I just think it makes her extra special, and I'm just gonna love her extra." And I was like, "Okay, perfect." And that was it. That was the end of the conversation.
I love that you say you were like dissecting the odds because so I had a CBS test because I just wanted to know, and that comes with like a 99.9%, and I was still like, I wonder if there's 0.1% chance.
Right.
But I'm the 0.1% on the other end.
Yeah,
because I did the testing and it came back that she did not have Down
Oh,
syndrome.
wow.
Had a birthday.
Yeah.
So it is. But I think that what we're saying here is like, we don't know what we don't know. And Tara and I don't want to steal the words, but this is what she says, and it really resonates with me. But she likes to say that we kind of put narratives into spaces that we don't know the story yet.
Yeah.
And we make up these stories in our head, and we're daydreamers, and we're forecasters, and we're moms, and we're planners, and we're control freaks sometimes. And so having these like surprises, if you will, it's easier to get the information, try to control it, when in reality you can't.
Yeah.
And also it's not something that is bad.
Yeah.
It's just different, and it's hard and beautiful and all the things.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I remember, so my daughter Charlie was only 3 years old when I had the birth diagnosis with Adeline. And a lot of the grief obviously was that I was imagining my daughters being best friends, like my sister and I are. And that I just felt was squashed the moment she came out and had this diagnosis. It's like, well, there that goes. There's that dream. Clearly, if people follow us online, they see that is, it's even more beautiful than I could have imagined their bond, right? It's just different. But I had this, like, I was so scared to tell Charlie. I was so sad to tell Charlie.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my therapist at the time, and she goes, "Jessica, she's 3.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what Down syndrome is.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell her. She's not going to be like, what? She has Down syndrome? She's going to be like, okay, can I have a cookie? Like,
Yeah.
And that was so level setting for me. And so what we started doing was just talking about Down syndrome in our house.
That's what we did.
So by the time I think it was like maybe our girls, like, I feel like Gigi and Charlie kind of understood at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
One day, and I would always go in and do like, the World Down Syndrome Day talk. And one day she was like, saw someone else with Down syndrome. She was like, "Does that person have Down syndrome too?" Like, she doesn't even see Rhea with. She sees her every day, so she like say it was like an adult, and she's like, "Is Addie going to be like that?" And I was like, "I'm not sure how Addie's going to be, but that person does have Down syndrome." And she's like, "Oh," like it was like all of this.
Right.
Like,
They just connected.
Yeah. So I want to dive into the stuff around speech because it is hard, and I think it is not talked about so much. And all of our kids have different ways of communicating. Rhea is very much an approximation speech kind of kid. Like, she has words, but it's people who spend a lot of time around her.
You speak Rhea.
It's like who understand her, and that's fine. And that'll develop, just like you said. Olivia will talk. I know people will understand Rhea very well in the future.
Right.
So I guess, when did you sort of realize, like, oh, this isn't happening?
So, I mean, Olivia's been in speech, I'm sure, like your girl, since she's, 6 months old, since she's teeny tiny, and we weren't even worried about speaking. It was the eating first. And we had the most amazing speech therapist, and we haven't had her in 2 years now, since Olivia's been in preschool. And my husband still talks about this woman, like, we need to get Marge back. We should just pay her out of pocket. Like, She's the only one who understood Olivia, and she pushed, but she like taught us all as a family. Like she taught us sign language. I knew no sign language. She taught us every day. She'd teach us new stuff. And she was just so amazing. And it was her who first introduced the AAC device. She had a program on her iPad, and she literally would leave her iPad at my house, and we would just use it for Olivia. You can get the program. It's like $300 or whatever, but
tell us about what that is, because not everybody listening.
Okay, so an AAC device is an augmented communication. I forget what it actually stands for. I'd have to look it up. But it's basically like an iPad or some type of tablet that has a program on it with icons, and the kids can plug, you can plug in whatever. A lot of them are preset. There's different programs. My daughter uses something called Proloquo. No, there's like chat something. There's a few of them. But basically it's set up so if Olivia wants to get something to eat, she can say, push the icon for I, and then for want, and chicken nuggets. It's her favorite. I want chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Here's chicken nugget likes chicken nuggets.
yeah, exactly. Those are her favorites. So she'll say, I want chicken nuggets. And then she can click the top and it'll make the sentence of whatever icon she put together.
Oh, cool.
So it's awesome. It's so cool. And in the beginning, when we were working with her speech therapist, she had about 32 icons set up, and this kid could navigate it like nothing. And when she reached preschool, it's amazing to me, in not a good way, how hard it is to get some things that you need for your children. And to me, it was a no-brainer. I'm like, the kid can't talk. This device helps her. Why are you not giving it to me? Like, why is this hard? And then there was a long wait for the device to get for her. And because, once she ages out of early intervention, we lost that speech therapist and therefore lost the device. And so I had tried to get it. And
in New York, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, that's okay.
I think in New York, you don't automatically go into public preschool, right? There's like it could be a daycare with sports kind of thing. Like it's a little bit different. I know I've spoken to a few friends in New York.
The services are wonderful, I will say. They provide a lot of great services. But so basically when you have early intervention, which is from like 0 to 3, and then from 3 to 5 it's CPSE, and then you transition into CSE, which again I have no idea what they stand for. I just know what they are. So right now she's in the preschool, between the 3 and 5, and she can get it through the school district, but it's not easy to get. And after COVID and everything, like everything was backlogged. So I basically called my insurance company because, as you said, I'm a police officer. I have insurance, good insurance. And I was like, there's got to be a way. This is covered. So I called and I kind of went backwards. I'm like, hey, tell me how to get this. Who do I have to call? And so they consider it durable medical equipment. So I just kind of went backwards and went to the company, and I found this great company called AbleNet. And they sent me everything I needed to submit to get the device. And once we got the device, it would be ours, and Olivia would not have to give it up. A little hard to get. You had to jump the hoops.
Does a company like that work with people who don't have insurance? Like if there are grants or, if someone is, doesn't have that, there's ways they can still get it.
Yes. And I would 100% recommend them. They're wonderful. And they work with a lot of insurance companies, and they do work with you if you don't have insurance.
We'll make sure for those listening to put that in the show notes if you're interested in learning more.
Yeah, please do. I'll send you over the person I was in contact with too, because she was super helpful. And she made the process very easy. And honestly, the hardest part, and again, I'm sure it differs. Actually, I know it differs from state to state, but I know in New York, one of the requirements was we had to get a particular evaluation done by a speech therapist. And not all speech therapists did this evaluation, of course, which made it hard. So none of the speech therapists at Olivia's school could do it. So I had to find somebody who could do it, and eventually they did. And basically, you just sit in a room with this person, and they evaluate her capability on the device. And when we sat in that room for the evaluation, the woman went up to 108 icons, and Olivia could navigate the whole thing.
Wow.
I was like, why does this kid not have this? We need this device. So she actually could go further, but her dexterity is not great. Like with, the more icons, the smaller they are. So she couldn't exactly click. She would mess up a lot and it would get frustrating. So we kept it at 108, and that's kind of where we keep it right now. But she can she adds all her friends from school, she adds all her family, and she walks around the house going, I love Mikey, her little brother. I love Mikey. I love Mikey.
You know what? I think this is like a really cool topic because I think it's more than it's maybe she's nonverbal, but that doesn't mean she can't communicate. And I think that this topic of nonverbal in the Down syndrome community specifically is not something that we as advocates are as open about because we don't want to scare like new moms, I think, or new families.
Right.
So I think what we have to do is be more reflective and open about this part of it, the communication part, that just because that your child isn't verbal, it does not mean that they can't communicate. So much so that like you and I are so close that I can feel if she's having a bad day. My daughter Adeline has a ton of words. And if she's not able to say it, I still know what she wants. I like feel her love. The communication is there.
There was a keynote speaker 2 years ago at DSDN. Keynote was Rachel Coleman, who founded this organization or media company called Signing Time. And she did the keynote. And one of the things that she said, which stuck with me so much, is she said, what if we look at sign language and other ways of communication as just another language that someone's using? The way that I speak English, someone else speaks French, Italian, sign language. She uses her AAC device to communicate. Like, it's not like we have to stop saying, and we talk about this with like, seeing someone in a wheelchair and not saying they can't walk and saying they use a wheelchair to get around. Like, sign language is my language. And, it's like kind of like a reframe that it's not a deficiency. It's just a different way of doing something. It does create challenges because of the world that we live in is so focused on verbal communication, written communication. It's hard for people who have dyslexia or another, or who can't read. There's lots of things in our world that are challenging to navigate when you have something. However, it doesn't mean you can't get the end goal isn't exactly the same.
Right.
Learn how to work.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I think that's so like that was my whole thing with the speech. Like I didn't want people to fear it because it's something I never knew, right? When I did all my research, that never came across my board. It was never like, oh, possibility your daughter won't talk to you. Like,
right.
And it scared me a little bit, but I was more focused on, okay, well, how can we communicate with her? If she doesn't speak, what can we do? And how can that help other people? Right. I've met so many amazing people through the Down syndrome community, and a lot of them have kids that don't speak. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So it's not just Olivia. And a lot of them didn't know that was a possibility either. So like you said, it's not a negative thing. It's just, it doesn't come easy, right? Getting the AAC device doesn't come easy. People don't know how they're intimidated by that. And like sign language, we learn sign language to communicate with her. Do you know that her school does not their teachers don't do sign language? Some of them know basic, but like it's not, you would think it's like a requirement no, it's not. And a lot of people don't know it. So it's not, I'm not like angry about it. It's just like, okay, well, what can we do? How can I help her along the way? Because my daughter is no stranger to making people know what she wants. And it's like the biggest compliment to me because like she went to a little event at church, and the woman that was in the room with her said to me, do you know that she did not use her device once, and I did not question one time what she wanted.
She needed.
Like not once. And it's amazing because that's what they are able to do. They're able to use their other ways to communicate. Like you said, it's not just verbal. And I think that that's so awesome because who knows when she'll be able to talk. She might be 5, she might be 10, she might be 15. Like my daughter's teacher, the son that she had, he didn't talk till he was 16. And then fluent.
Yeah. And then we have people in our community whose children never talked, and they're proud of that. And it's like there's such a expression of communication represented throughout our community. And I think just being present and owning where you're at and where your child is, and just celebrating where they are. And
absolutely,
you're such an inspiration because you're doing that consistently. And instead of blaming or feeling like a victim of this, you're like, all right, what can we do? What can I?
So how do you like navigate different situations, like whether it's a new classroom, whether it's even something simple like a doctor's appointment? It must be I think it's impactful for people to understand, like, it isn't just like you get the AAC device and she can communicate to everybody. Like, you probably have a little soapbox that you have to stand on every time, you're in a situation. So talk about that a little bit.
So the AAC device, I will say, I do currently, I had them add to Olivia's IEP, and I'm assuming, and I think IEPs are nationwide, right?
Yes.
Okay. Parent training. So my husband and I get parent training so that I can learn the device better, because I don't totally know it.
Mhm.
But we don't, like I said, she kind of doesn't rely on it at home because we can communicate very well with her. But when we go out, I try to encourage her to use it. And she'll say hi on it. She'll say yes or no on it. Very big on I want this, I want that. When we go to doctors or something, like, you could tell some people don't always have the patience when I'm like trying to wait for her to use it to communicate.
Yeah.
I kind of just ignore it because I don't really
Yeah.
care. Like,
Right.
you're here, you'll wait.
Yeah.
But it's depending on the situation, it's very cumbersome. That's the hard part. It's like a big iPad. And I did that. If I knew a little bit better, I probably would have picked a smaller one because she's a tiny person. But I figured, like, that way she would have more room to pick. So it's hard. Like, when we go places, I'll kind of just like place it in front of her so she can use it. In the car, I'll just like put it next to her in case she wants to use it. And we try to just kind of keep it near her so she can, if she wants to use it to say something, she'll just grab it.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about your book. Can we talk about your book? Because
Sure.
I think you sent me your book like early on, like 2 years ago, 3.
When I first did it, probably, yeah.
And you and I connected on TikTok, right? Or was it
I
Instagram?
think so. I'm so bad. I try so hard to be active on there. It's so
Well, at the time, I think I had like 30,000 followers or something, and casual. Well,
casual, yeah.
I was not like a full-time. I was just like, it was COVID. I was just whatever. And you or I think I followed you back because I thought your kiddos were so cute, and you DM'd me, and you were like, I wrote this book. Can I send you one? And I was like, oh my God, of course. And then I have it upstairs. I should go get it. Anyway, but I love the book, and I use it when I go to classrooms, and it's part of my resource list. And so tell us the story of the book. What inspired? I mean, we now know what inspired you, but like, tell us the story. How did you get it published? Are you like, we love all this stuff. So share about the book.
Honestly, and it's so funny because I was watching my girls talk and communicate and read and like communicate without saying words. Like, the way Hayden so naturally can communicate with her sister is amazing to me. Like, she tries to learn sign language and she does. She learns it like we learn it, and she wants to learn it. But she can just communicate with this kid like it's nothing. It's her sister, and there is no question there. And I was just watching them one day, and that's what inspired me. And I was like, okay, I want to put this on paper because I just think it's such a teaching moment. Like, and I wanted to incorporate the sign language, like learning the sign language, because in the beginning when we taught Olivia sign language, she couldn't exactly do it. Like, even now still, her sign language is approximate, and like mommy's this, right? Mama's this. Yeah, Olivia does this, which is pig. So she calls me pig all day long, and it's hysterical for so many reasons.
Oh my God.
And
oh my God, she's like the best. That's hysterical.
Yeah, so that's just what we do, because that's how she says it, and there's no point in correcting it. I know what she means. We all know what she means.
Right.
But when she was trying to sign I love you, she could not get her hands.
Why did they make this the hardest thing ever?
Right?
I know. Every day when Daddy gets to the bus, I go, I love you. And she'll go like that. Like, she can't, she's like, I don't even, there's no way.
And that was Olivia too. She could not get it. And I forget now because now she does it really good. Like, she doesn't put her thumb out, but she can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember how she used to do it, but that's kind of what inspired me. I was watching Hayden try to teach her to say I love you, and she couldn't do it. I think she would just hold up her fist or whatever it was, but we knew exactly what she was saying. Every time she would do it, we knew she was saying I love you. So I kind of just started writing a little, and my husband's actually an incredible artist, and I really wanted him to be the illustrator for the book. But he doesn't do digital. He's not, he's also a detective, so he's very busy.
He's busy. They're the coolest family ever. But we talked a couple weeks ago because, I'm trying to maybe get Jess to do more Olivia books, but I know that there's a way to turn his drawings into, but he's busy. So,
Yes. And I don't have patience.
Put it on his list.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do not have patience at all,
Mm.
which is, I had to publish it through Amazon. And part of that was because of my lack of patience, because, as you have said, I have a full-time job. It was never about making money on the book. I really just wanted it in my hands to share and to read to Olivia and to, like you said, bring it to classes.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And what's different about this book than some of the other books I have read is the teaching of the sign language. I thought that was really cool. Kids love that. They love to be able to like do something from the book. And so when I go into her class, that's what I read for Down Syndrome Day or sometimes during October. But yeah, so the process was fairly simple as far as getting it done, but I wouldn't recommend Amazon in the future.
That's why we're, trying to talk.
Yeah.
What we can make happen. But but people can find it on Amazon.
Yes, it is available on Amazon
And
right now.
it'll always live there.
And we'll
So
obviously link it here for you guys.
Yeah.
It's the sweetest book.
I always want to talk about, moms who keep their career going, and there's moms who step away from their career, and that is what their family needs, and that is wonderful, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, some of us who love our career, it's hard when we have a child with a disability and we think we have to, give up all that. And not only do you still have a career, but you have one that's like with
Like on the fields,
like the shifts.
You're not working from home.
and like overnight and all the things. So I do want you to talk about that and just how you balance it. What is like a week in the life for,
I'm like getting
for you
my
guys?
notebook, like I'm gonna just like make some notes.
Honestly, it's like not normal, but I sleep like probably 3 hours a day. It's horrible. Probably not great long term. Lucky for me, I'll retire in 9 years and it'll be
right.
You'll catch up.
You'll sleep then.
So I became a police officer before I had my 3 littles. Hayden was 3 when I was in the police academy, and it was a struggle with her because she was little. But when she went to school, it got a little bit easier. I would work midnight. I'd come home. I would sleep while she was in school. Obviously now that's not, I still work midnights, but it's a little harder now with the kids being home, but we've adjusted. I have like, a sitter that'll come over so I could sleep for a couple hours. If I was given the opportunity to leave, I probably would, because I just love being home with my kids. But I'm grateful for my job, and it will provide my family, when I am able to retire and I'll have a pension, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
So I am trying my hardest to stick it out. My husband and I, like I said, he's a detective, so our schedules are crazy to say the least, and we tend to do a lot of flip-flopping. I work the overnight. He usually will either meet me on the way, because we both work in the city. I work in Brooklyn, he works in Manhattan, and we live with no traffic about an hour and 5 minutes outside of the city.
Okay.
With traffic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're on the island.
With traffic, it sometimes takes my husband 2.5 hours to get into work. It's brutal. Part of the reason I stay on midnights, because I kind of avoid that traffic doing that.
Yeah.
But so we'll either like switch cars. I'll take the kids, whatever child is in the car, or multiple children, and then he'll go into work. So he works mostly during the day. But things come up.
Do you have the same days off?
No.
Oh.
So over the years, I have almost 11 years on, and he has 12 years on. So our whole marriage, we've been together 10 years, and we've always been on the job together in our relationship. So it's different tour changes, different schedule changes, different places of work. He hasn't always worked in Manhattan, and you just kind of have to adjust. And in the beginning, we kept days off, but now that we have so many kids with so many different things going on, we made the decision to alter that. So I'm off Saturday, Sunday, which is a little confusing because when you work midnights, you're technically working for the next day. So like, even though I'm on paper off Saturday, Sunday, I go in Sunday night because that's my Monday tour.
Okay.
So I'm really off Friday night and Saturday night, and he's off Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
So we do that to cover the kids. So someone is home with the kids and we need less, help. We do make it work. so that usually he works in the morning on Saturdays so that we have Saturday night off together.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. And we'll take days off here and there. We do take our vacations together if we can. So it's definitely a balancing act. We both sleep not like normal people.
Yeah.
And we have 3 little kids who also don't sleep like normal people because apparently that's not, who wants to sleep when you're under 5.
No.
And so we're up all night. Well, he's up all night with them mostly. And then I come home and they're up all day. So we do find some type of balance.
Yeah. But it's really important, I think, even for any parent to hear this, because I was saying this to one of my girlfriends who's deciding if they're going to have another child and when they're going to have another child. I was like, just do it. And then you're in the weeds for 5 years. And then it starts to slow down.
Yeah.
Things get a little bit easier. Yep. And she'll be 4 in July. And I'm already seeing this like ease shift coming out of the weeds of schools. Because it's a lot, they need you so much and they're not as independent. Charlie now is like finally able to take a shower on her own, and she'll help me with Addie, and and so it's a lot when you're in it. But I just recently we went to Dave and Buster's, and Addie sat in her chair, and didn't elope for the whole.
Oh wow!
And that's
a positive.
Is this my life now? I know. It's like this is amazing. But I've been in the weeds. Charlie's gonna be 7. It's 7 years.
Yeah.
And with Addie, has Down syndrome, so that's a little extended, right? So but it will happen, and it's always worth it, right? It's like you just make it work.
And Hayden, how old?
Yeah.
Hayden is 13.
Okay, so my list is 12, and it's I have never loved an age more than this age.
Yeah.
And there's things that come with it, of course, as far as hormones. She'll be very mad that I just said the word hormones in a conversation about her. However, it's just I'm like, oh, I have a best friend.
I love hanging out with her daughter. I text her, I'm like, how was the audition?
Yeah.
What are you wearing? Do you want this skincare? Do you she's so fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it's also so Hayden and Olivia, I think, are about the same age difference as Rhea and my Sophia. She was 8.5 when Rhea was born. And it is so cool to see that dynamic between the two of them. And, she and I were walking the dog the other day, and I was like, what would you, if you had a kid with, baby with Down syndrome someday, what would you, we were just talking. We love doing that when we walk the dog. And she's like, I was like, what would you think? And she was like, I would know what to do. I wouldn't be scared. There'd be no, and I'm like, oh,
I know what to do.
Just love.
So sweet.
So you love her. So, oh yeah.
I'm so fortunate and so grateful for my relationship with Hayden. I feel like we grew up together, her and I, because I was 20 when I had her, and our lives are so different now than they were when she was little. And to watch her with her sister is amazing, and her other siblings. And some days I'm not watching them unless you pay me. But other days,
in Starbucks though, right? Starbucks and Sephora. That's what
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I will buy you something from Sephora to watch the kids.
Yeah, I bribe her. I'm like, all right, I will buy you Starbucks and we can go to Ulta, but I need to take a shower. Sit with them so I could take a shower, please. And do my hair. I need a full hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, based on the hair that we're seeing now, she must have gotten a loot because you look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So on this podcast, we always have the last question is our signature question.
Yeah.
Is there anything though before I ask it?
I don't think.
I feel like we already cover everything, right?
Yeah. So, and like I said before, people can find you at Lucky Few Fam on Instagram. Just Instagram, or are you guys?
I think it's the same on TikTok. I'm trying to be more active out there.
Okay.
We're working on
TikTok. It's so fun,
especially that little Angela with the blonde hair. Delicious.
He is, when I tell you, an angel baby. If I could have, guarantee they'd all be like him, I'd have 5 more.
I know.
It's perfection.
Yeah.
I love little boys. Good. I don't have boys. My sister has 3 little blonde baby boys. And your son reminds me of my nephews, who are my delicious angel boys. Oh, yeah. Boys they love their mamas too.
Oh yes. And then I have Mikey, he'll be 3 in March, and we call him, I don't know if you remember the wild thornberries.
Yes, I love that show.
We call him Donnie, because he is the Tasmanian devil who just spirals through everybody's life. It's incredible.
So funny. I love it. So find them on Instagram at Lucky Few Fam. But yes, before we close, we would love to know what makes you extra lucky.
Oh my gosh, there's so much that makes me extra lucky. My kids.
Yeah.
Definitely my kids make me extra lucky. My husband, he puts up with all my craziness and my crazy ideas, my crazy schedules, my projects.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed to have my family.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about. Well, thank you, Jess, for joining us. We are so grateful for your vulnerability and all that you shared with us, because I know it's going to help other people so much. And thank you to all of you who listened. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend or on social. It helps us to spread the message of this extra lucky life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.